Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We are discussing the 10th Sutra, Tasam Anaditvam cha Ashijo Nityatvat. So, in discussion of that sutra, there came a problem that if vasanas are beginningless, it is appropriate that the vasanas are endless. If the vasanas are endless, then the moksha redundant would become redundant, kaivalya would become redundant, liberation would become redundant. So, with that objection, the answer was that vasanas are not an entity by itself. Vasanas are assembly. Vasanas are assembly of some factors. And when it is assembly of something, the dissemblement is possible. And if the dissemblement is possible, the entity doesn't stay. So vasanas won't stay if it is assembly. Because if it can be dissembled, then vasanas per se won't exist. Like a TV set. The TV set can be in the TV kit. So in TV kit, it is in dissembled condition. It doesn't work as television. A radio set, in a radio kit, it won't be functional as radio. All the components are there in the kit. So we are familiar with this, the concept of kit, radios kit, television kit, car kit. If they are all dissembled, then they are not what they are actually. So vasana is an assembly, which is the topic of next sutra, but as a preamble we are discussing it here. What are the components of vasana? Vasana is a compound of five things, assembly of five things: hetu, phala, ashraya, alambana. So these are the factors. Hetu, phala, ashraya, alambana. 4 factors. These 4 factors coming together become vasana. If the 4 factors are dissembled, vasana per se won't stay. So, what has to be remembered here is that these vasanas have been assembly from time without beginning. Now it is not nirnimitta but sanimitta. It is not without purpose but with purpose. It is not vinakaranam but it is sakaranam. It is not without cause but it is with cause. And this assembly has been there from time without beginning. Just now, as I said, that Vyasa tells us that vasanas are not vinakaranam but sakaranam, and this is also experienced by us. Like all of us have experience of death, and there is a dukkha purvaka, smriti purvaka, dvesha purvaka, bhaya purvaka smriti. So we have memory, we have fear, we have sorrow, torment, agony of mrityu, of death. Now, we have not experienced death in this life. We don't have experience of death of this life. So there is no question of memory. If something has not happened, why will you have memory? So in this life, death has not happened. But we have memory. And the memory is how it is dukkha purvaka. It is dukkhatmaka. There is a sorrow, torment. There is also fear. There is also dread and fear. Now, how come when we have not experienced the death, why is it that we have memory of death? Dukkha purvaka, smriti purvaka, dvesha purvaka, bhaya purvaka. So we have the sorrow, we have the memory, we have the dvesha, aversion, detest, and we also have bhaya, fear and dread. Now naturally it means that this is because of our experience of death in all our previous manifestations. Although we have not experienced death in present life, we have fear about it, dread about it, aversion about it, etc., because of our experience in past lives. So that is also a testification that the vasanas are there. So this vasana has been anadi. From time without beginning, we all are having this fear, etc., aversion, etc., with regards to death. And then the question comes up, where do the vasanas reside? Which is the topic of discussion for us. Where do the vasanas reside? The vasanas reside in chitta. So chitta is ashraya. The chitta is the support. The chitta is supporting vasanas, holding vasanas, housing vasanas. So the chitta is the one where the vasanas reside. Vasanas are existing. Vasanas are formed. So this is the point that we should be taking note of. The chitta is ashrayam. Because this is one of the component which is topic of discussion in the next sutra, hetu phala ashraya alambana. So these are the four factors which constitute vasana. So one of the factors is ashraya, and chitta is ashraya. The chitta is ashraya and the vasanas are ashrita. Ashraya ashrita bhavam is to be understood as student of philosophy here. Now, with regards to chitta, in the event of what we are discussing, let's try to take up a facet of chitta. See, the human being gets body with birth. And this body goes away with death. Goes away means it is left behind. The body is left behind. And then it is confined to fire or earth or water or something like that. The point is, the body comes with the birth. Body doesn't go with the death. Body is left behind. And then we proceed. We proceed for our transmigrations, or what's called as eschatological movements. So, point is, along with birth, we get the body. Deham. The Deham comes with the birth. And with the death, the Deha goes away, in the sense it is left behind. And then we go ahead. We proceed further. So these vasanas cannot stay in body. The vasanas which are being referred to cannot stay in body, because the body is temporary, body is impermanent, body comes and body goes, bodies have been coming, bodies have been going, and therefore the bodies are left behind and they are confined as well. So it is not proper to hold that Deham is Ashraya of Vasana. We cannot say that the Vasanas reside in Deham or the body. Then where are the Vasanas? So this is a natural question. If the body is not the support of Vasanas, then which is the support? Where is the support for Vasanas? So, therefore, we often say a human being is born and human being is dead. So, birth and death is something that happens to all life forms. And the death is the most certain thing in all certainties. When the person is declared to be death, it's not everything has died with that person. So the Astikas know this very well, that the whole existence comes with a birth, but the whole existence doesn't go with the death, and therefore the death is not death in one sense of the term. Because Astikas posit and postulate that we transmigrate. So there is life after life after life after life after life. That means we have movements. This is called eschatological movements. So although everything comes with a birth, not everything goes with the death. And that's why the Astika says that the body is left behind and the subtle body, cause body, proceeds further. Point is, therefore, vasanas don't reside in body. So where do they reside? They reside in chitta. The chitta is permanent. Chitta is eternal. Chitta is transmigratory. Chitta is transmigrating. And therefore, the postulation is the chitta is the support of vasanas. So that's how it is to be understood. That how chitta is the ashraya. Now this is true with regards to any life form, let it be insect, worm, bird, animal, cattle, beast. Whether human being or any form of being, this should be understood. So chitta is not only in human beings, chitta is in all beings. All living beings have a chitta, and the chitta is eternal. Chitta doesn't have birth and death. The chitta has only movements. So, finally, it should be understood the shariram or deham is not the ashraya, chitta is ashraya. It needs something to be shashvata. Something should be anadi. Something should be ananta. Something should be eternal. That would be the support of vasana or resort of vasanas or dwelling place of vasanas. So chitta is shashvata. Chitta is eternal. So all beings have chitta. and the vasanas stay in chitta. So that major question has been tackled in the question that we are dealing about vasanas. Now, what is this chitta? So some dimension of chitta should be understood here. Some perspective with regards to chitta has to be understood here. So that is discussed by Vyasa. There are three opinions with regards to chitta by different philosophers. So the question is whether the chitta is parimana or madhyam parimana or vibhu. That is, whether the chitta is atomic or is it all pervasive, or is it between the two, neither atomic nor all pervasive, that is madhyama parimana. Because as just now we considered that chitta is there in all beings, the tiniest life form, which we say today bacteria and jivanu, the small atomic life forms such as tiny worms, tiny insects, etc., etc. On one hand. On the other hand, you have huge bodies such as blue whale, elephant, dinosaur. These are huge bodies. And then we have something between the two, which are middle-sized dimensions. So the chitta is there whether it is ant or little larger an insect or further larger worm or creature, or further larger the cat and dog, etc., or further larger the cattle, and further larger the animals, and somewhere human form comes in there. Human form is neither atomic nor all pervasive. So it is neither atomic nor vibhu. And then we have all the life forms of different dimensions and different sizes. Now the chitta is said to be in all the living beings, whether it is vegetable world or whether it is world of creatures and animals and beasts and cattle and birds or human beings or rakshasas or huge embodiments such as blue whale and elephant and dinosaur, etc. So there are some philosophers who postulate that chitta is atomic, and therefore it can be there in all embodiments. The atomic dimension is accommodated in any size of body, whether it is very small to medium size to large size to extra large size to extra large size to extra large size. If it is atomic, it can be containing all the sizes of life forms. So the Naiyayikas, Nyaya philosophers, Gautam Kanadiyas, believe that chitta is Anu, and therefore it is in all bodies. It has no problem. See, suppose the chitta is of particular size, say human size chitta, then it cannot be accommodated by ant. It cannot be accommodated by ant or tiny creature, microscopic creature. If it is of the size of elephant, it cannot be accommodated in human form because it will be hanging out. So it is not Sharira Parimana, it is not body dimension. And therefore, Naiyayikas postulate that it is so invisible and subtle, and therefore they conveniently postulate that the chitta is atomic. And therefore chitta can be containing any body, any size of the body, any dimension of the body, largest of the large to smallest of the small. Then there are some philosophers who believe that it is Madhyama Parimana. According to size of the body, the chitta will be there. That means ant will have ant-sized chitta, eagle will have eagle-sized chitta, man will have man-sized chitta, elephant will have elephant-sized chitta, dinosaur will have dinosaur-sized chitta. So these are some heterodox philosophers who proceed that way. Patanjalas have their stand. They say it is Vibhu, it is all pervasive. But they describe it in a beautiful way. Because how can you imagine something of infinite dimension in a finite container? So, with an example, because Chitta is said to be Vibhu by Sankhyas and Patanjalas, and then how that infinite dimension of Chitta can be there in an ant or tiny microscopic life form. Vyasa beautifully explains this with an analogy. Ghata prasada pradipa kalpam sankocha vikasi chittam sharira paribanakara matram iti apare pratipannaha. This is the view of the Madhyam advocates. But Patanjali says it is like a lamp. The lamp will expand and contract. If you keep it inside a pot, it will only illumine the pot. The light will not fall out of the pot. Light will not go beyond the pot. But same lamp, if you remove it and keep it in a room, it will illumine the whole room. So, Ghata Prasada Pradipa Kalpam Sankocha Vikasi Chittam. The Chitta will be like that. It doesn't have dimension, like the light doesn't have dimension, but in a small container like a pot, the illumination will be limited to pot. But then, if the pot is broken, the light will spread to the size of the room. So, Sankocha Vikasa Shila is an important description. Otherwise, the light can be illumining boundless region actually. So, that is how the Chitta is also considered. In course of discussion that we are having, the Chitta as the Ashraya of Vasana. So, Vrittirevasya vibhunas chittasya sankocha vikasini iti acharyaha. So, Yogacharyas do agree that there is sankocha vikasa shila dharma. But it is actually vibhu. And therefore this question has been answered. Whether the Chitta is Anu Parimana, Madhyama Parimana or Vibhu Parimana. And the Patanjala's view is that it is Vibhu. So, we have also discussed that aspect of Ashraya of Vasanas, which is the Chitta. Now, we will be now considering the other factors as well, but that comes in the Sutra 11 of the 4th chapter. So we now commence the 11th Sutra. Hetu phala ashraya alambanehi sangrahitatvat esham abhave tad abhavaha. Vasanas are anadi, so therefore they should be ananta. But then Patanjalas have a view not endorsing with this idea. Because in that case, the vasanas would be endless. If the vasanas are endless, there won't be moksha. If the vasanas are endless, there won't be liberation. Vasanas are anadi, then kaivalyam will not be possible. And that is why this sutra comes. And as we discussed just now, it is assembly. So assembly of what? Hetu. First component is hetu. Second component is phalaha. Phala is second component. Ashraya is the third component. And alambana is the fourth component. When they come together in an assembly, the vasanas are formulated. And this assembly has been there from time without beginning. Another thing to be noted at this juncture is that vasanas are not just anadi. Vasanas are not just timeless or beginningless. Vasanas are ananta. Ananta vasanas. So the infinitude should be understood in two dimensions here. One is that it is infinite in the sense it is beginningless. The second one is that it is countless. Vasanas are countless. It's not just one or two vasanas. It is not one or two or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or million or billion vasanas. Vasanas are innumerable. So infinitude in that respect as well. So vasanas are asankhya. Vasanas are anadi. Vasanas are asankhya. Basically, we all have vasanas of 8.4 million jiva rashis. In the context of what we are discussing, that we can transmigrate into 8.4 million life classes, not life forms. Life forms are countless, but classes of life are 8.4 million. So we have vasanas of each yoni. 8.4 million yonis, we have the vasanas in us. And then we have vasanas of our countless incarnations. We have certain vasanas of this life. We also house the vasanas of our previous life. We also house the vasanas of our all previous lives. So the vasanas are asankhya. This is what we have to understand. We have been existing through so many incarnations, avatars, manifestations, and in each life we have been collecting vasanas. Not that one life has one vasana. In one life we have several vasanas. There are several objects which are enticing, and therefore we have those many vasanas. In all the lives, we have been enticed by so many objects and so many things, and therefore the vasanas are indeed innumerable. So that is also important thing to be noted, and not just be obsessed by the concept that vasanas are beginningless. Vasanas are numberless as well. And that is why we are engaged in karmas, in particularly human form. It is because of ananta vasanas, anadi vasanas, asankhya vasanas, we are engaged in variegated activities, variegated karmas. So because of vasanas we have ichha. Because of vasanas we have desires. Because of desires we have intents. Because of intents we have agendas. And because of agendas we do so many things in life. And then activities that we have taken up also create a vasanas again. So then it's a wheel of vasanas in which we are caught. Because of vasanas, we do something. Because what we do, we again earn vasanas, we again collect vasanas, and vasana karma, vasana karma, vasana karma is a wheel in which we are caught, and that's why we are bound. That is why we have the bandha. See, countless vasanas will create one karma, and one karma will create countless vasanas. So see how multiplication of vasanas would be taking place with each karma. It's not that one karma will only have one vasana. It's not that one karma is based on one vasana or engenders one vasana. Any karma is based on several vasanas, and any karma, the same karma will engender several vasanas. And that's how we are caught in the mesh of karma, and this karma bandha is dreadening for a spiritual seeker. Particularly when a person is materialistic or when a person is self-centric, selfish, the vasanas are harvested in astronomical scale. See, for example here, for one karma, we have to do so many things. For one desire, we have to do so many things. Now, when we do so many things, these activities are either dharma or adharma. They give rise to pap and punya. We'll have to do good and bad things. We'll have to do the virtuous and vicious things to fulfill our desires. And therefore, there is afforestation of vasanas, afforestation of ichhas, desires, tendencies, etc., etc. So, that is why there is a dread for these vasanas in spiritual realm. Otherwise, why one would be dreading about? Those who are not spiritually inclined at all, they are not dreaded. There is no dread about vasanas at all. They have no problem with any amount of vasanas they might be housing or catering or nurturing. To do one thing, you have to do 10 things. For one thing to be attained, we'll have to do hundreds of things. Say, if you want to build a house, your desire is to have your own house. Now, to have your own house, understand the amount of endeavor that you have to do in several directions. If you want to have clothing, you will have to turn out so many things to have clothing on your body. If you want to have a house, you will have to have a jungle of desires to really have your own house. Say, for instance, if you want clothing for your body to be covered, you can't just get a cloth material and wrap it around the body. You require a tailor who will stitch your clothing. Now, for clothing to be available, you'll have to have cloth merchants. For the cloth merchants to deal with clothing, there has to be a spinning and weaving mill. And for spinning and weaving mill to be there, somebody has to grow cotton. So understand how this is indeed very complex. One desire will create several desires. And that is why one vasana can raise up mountain of vasanas. Therefore, the spiritually minded seekers are dreaded of vasanas. Those in Adhyatma are dreaded of vasanas. They don't want to nurture vasanas, nourish vasanas. And the other aspect is that which Bhagavad Gita mentions, that not even a moment would pass without a karma. Nai kasyat kshana pijatu tishtati akarma krut. That means not even a moment would pass without a karma. Some kind of karma will be happening incessantly. Now, for just now, we have seen for one karma that I want to have my own house. How many desires we will have? Procure a land, procure architect, have an architect employed, have an engineer, have mason. So many things. You need bricks, sand, concrete, iron, steel, etc., furniture. So many things you require. House is not one requirement. Just take a view of your house. House is not just 4 walls, 1 floor, 1 ceiling. The house doesn't come with one material. Several materials have to come together. Steel, cement, concrete, brick, block, stone, so many things have to come together. So one desire to have one's own house gives rise to so many desires. Mountainous desires are there. And then each moment we are committing karma, that means each karma is going to have a forestation of vasanas. Now understand why the spiritual seeker has this dread basically for the vasanas. And as just now we saw that there are countless, innumerable vasanas, indeed infinite number wise. See, for another perspective here, or to proceed in to go to details of the sutra, because hetu, phala, ashraya, alabhana, these factors are to be considered. Now let's try to take up rational logic. A rationalist has his logic. There are certain things in our life. They only get a requirement in particular phase of life, particular condition in life. Vishishthakala. So those are required in Vishishthakalam. And then therefore they happen in Vishishthakalam. Now where were they before that? Whether they were not there and they came into existence. See, I developed a desire since I saw that. I developed a covet for a thing since I saw that. That means it was not from Anadi Kala. Now today, children have, even small children have desire to possess a car. Now, the car was not there in remote past. They are objects of particular era. The car was invented and thereafter the desires for car got a room to occupy our vasanas. So there were things which were not there in previous eras. So where is the room for vasanas for such things? So the thing is, there is nothing like something is non-existent. Even with regards to his objects such as a car, the car was not there 200 years back, 500 years back, 1000 years back. So desire for car was not there, but today the child, which is just 3-4 years of age, also starts having a desire for a car. So it is not proper to postulate that something is non-existent in certain times. Like we can argue the car was not existing 150 years back. The car got invented in something around 1930. So that's about maybe around 100 years back. But then if you posit that the car was not there prior to invention of the car, it's not true. Existence in philosophy is discussed in different ways. Bhava is existence. Abhava is non-existence. And there is also a type of existence called pragbhava. Existence before existence. Existence before actuality. The car might be not there actually 200 years back. But the material of car, the purpose to have a car was there even before a car was there. Because before the car we had the carts. Before the carts we had horses to ride on. So vehicle was a need. Vehicle was need. But before car there was cart. Before cart there were horses on which human being could ride. So there is something called as pragbhava, and then comes bhava, and then there is abhava. Abhava is also kind of existence. And then there is pradvamsa bhava. So the absence that is going to happen after annihilation is different absence. Absence before a thing actualizing is also absence. But that's called pragbhava. So, like radios. Now today we don't have radios in all houses, or most of the houses don't have radios. It has been replaced by other technology of communication, mass communication. But there was a time that radio was desired and cherished by everyone. After radio was invented by Marconi. But then for a few years we had radios available in the market. So we would go and buy a radio and enjoy a radio set. But now almost all the houses are without radio. And therefore we'll have to, philosophically they say there is abhava, pragbhava, pradvamsa bhava. Absence before actuality is pragbhava. And absence after latency, destruction, is pradvamsa bhava. So our desires, maybe they might be related to particular time that we are in. Like 21st century desires are different than 18th century desires and 15th century's desire and 5th century desires. And BCE, 2nd century, 3rd century, 5th century, 10th century. But then it has to be looked at in this way. So there is pragbhava and there is atyanta bhava or pradvamsa bhava. This is what our logicians describe. And therefore, although we might have a position that particular vasanas are only relevant to particular time, they have only place in particular time, that our times, and these vasanas did not have any room in previous eras. So the absence should be seen that way. Today's objects were absent 100 years back, 500 years back, 1000 years back, 2000 years back. And today's desires will be absent after another 1000 years, after another 2000, 5000, 10,000 years. So it is proper to understand this concept of abhava, pragbhava, pradhvamsa bhava. So now we are going to proceed in discussing what we are discussing, but I think it is enough for the time being, enough for today. So we will proceed on this 11th sutra, which is going to describe hetu, phala, ashraya, alambana, sangrahitvatvam. Coming together is vasanas. And esham abhave tad abhavaha. If they are components are not there, the constitution will not be there. If the radio kit is not there, how can you get a radio? There should be radio kit. All parts of radio should be there. Then you can assemble and have a radio. So vasanas, esham abhave tad abhava. Vasanas can end, which was an objection, strong objection, that the vasanas are anadi, they should never end. But that is now being discussed here. So anyway, we will proceed on this topic in our next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.